Hey, this is Danielle from Black Business Boom and Black Owned Nashville, and we are live with Angela Black, who is going to be giving us some gems today. And I know that already because I know Angela, and I know she's a brilliant woman with just amazing things to help us when it comes to growing our businesses and really paying attention and focusing on our businesses from a client perspective. And we know that some Black business owners have had some challenges in this area. So I really thought that it was important to have Angela come and join me and for us to talk about some mistakes we may be making that are keeping us from making money. Because if you ain't keeping the client and the customers happy, you're losing money. Thank you so much for joining me, Angela. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And before we jump in, I want to let you know Angela's going to give us some tips today, but she has a free training coming up on May the 11th. I've already included the link for you all to join in the caption. So make sure you hit that link and register for the free training where you'll get all of the tips. But she's going to give us a little bit today. So let's jump on in, Angela. Let's talk about it. And before we get into the tips, tell us just a little bit about your background.
Okay. So I've got about 25 years of sales and customer service experience. I was trained initially by Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. We went through 2 months of rigorous sales training where they put us up in a dorm and everything we said was videotaped, and they showed the videotape to the class and got feedback from the class. That's how strenuous the training was. So that type of sales training has lasted with me throughout my career. And I've done extremely well with sales. I've won a lot of awards and been promoted a few times. I've trained a lot of reps in sales and customer service, and I've been a manager of reps as well. And my last corporate position, I was a director of accounts. And I was responsible for creating standard operating procedures, or SOPs, which you will hear me talk about a lot, for the company that I was working for, and training the employees on how to provide concierge level customer service to our $30 million client. So I was laid off for the fourth time in my career not long ago. And I decided, I'm just going to use all of this expertise that I have, all of this knowledge, all of the training that I've had, and create a consulting firm where I teach small businesses how to increase their revenue through sales and customer service. And I've found that a lot of businesses think that it's a headache. They know it has to be taken care of, but it's a headache for them. So I want to take the headache away. And that's what I do. I focus mainly on minority-owned businesses. My focus is definitely Black-owned businesses because I've been an entrepreneur several times. This is not my first time starting a business. Mm-hmm. So I know the challenges that Black entrepreneurs face. And one of the stereotypes that I really don't like is the stereotype that Black businesses don't provide great customer service.
Yeah.
It frustrates me because we can make one little mistake and people say, oh, I'm never going back to them. I tried to work with the Black business. I could.
Girl, it's not even I'm not going back to them. It's that I'm not shopping with Black-owned businesses anymore. Yeah. It's so ridiculous. Like, that's one of the things that just burns me up, that I'm like, this one business does not represent all of the businesses. But furthermore, did you give them feedback? Did you go and talk to somebody? Some folks we just have to be real with. They just don't get it and they won't get it, and that's fine. But there are others that just need the feedback so that they're able to grow.
Right.
But I also think that as Black business owners, we know about that stereotype already, right? We know who we're fighting against. So we need to position ourselves to already get ahead of it. And we need to not be so reactive when things happen. We need to figure out how do we be proactive about how do we put the things in place we need to stop these situations from happening. And that's on all levels of business, from the lady who's doing your hair to, someone who's building a scalable tech company. It matters on all levels. So I'm excited to get these tips from you, Angela. Yeah. And again, I think we all have room for growth. No matter how well we think that we're doing in this area, we all have some room for growth. So let's jump on in and talk about what's the number one tip? No, don't give me the number one. but give me a tip. I'm like, because I know you're going to give the number one on the free training that you're having on the 11th. So give me a tip, something that we can be doing that's simple that may increase the customer service, the level of customer service at our business.
Oh, there's so many. If I had to choose, I'm going to give you two. I'll give you two. One is just do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. Point blank, period. I think one of my successes, one of the reasons I was so successful as a sales rep is when I say I provided concierge level customer service, what I mean by that is if someone asked me to do something, they didn't have to worry about it. They knew it was going to get done, and they knew I was going to do it before I promised that it would get done. So I would somewhat under promise and over deliver, right? So I might say, okay, I'll get this done. Today's Friday. So I might say, okay, I'll get this done for you by Tuesday, but I'd have it done by Sunday night. You know what I mean? And it impresses them. It impresses your customer when you say, hey, I'll get this to you, and they get it before, you say you're going to do it, or it shows the customer that they're important and that, hey, wow, she really did do this quickly for me. And she did a good job on top of that. Not that it was done sloppily and quickly, but it was done very well and quickly.
Yeah.
So I think one of my first suggestions would be just do exactly what you say you're going to do, or do more than what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, or even before you say you're going to do it.
As business owners, it can be difficult. That can be difficult. I feel like it's one of the things that's more, easily said than done. And a lot of times we may have really good intentions and something just kind of falls apart and we're unable to fulfill that commitment. So what tips do you have for us when that happens, or to avoid that happening?
To avoid it, if there's any way, one of the things that Black business owners, I think one of the reasons we have that stereotype that we don't provide great customer service is that so many of us are doing it all by ourselves, right? We're solopreneurs, and we're trying to handle the marketing and the sales and the customer service and the operations and answering the phone and, getting the orders
and so on the thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All the things. And that's too much for one person. So if there is any way you can hire someone, a virtual assistant, an assistant, someone to help you.
Get an intern. I mean, there's a lot of different options.
Yeah. Fiverr, like I've used Fiverr a lot. Anything that you can do to take some of those tasks off your plate that would allow you to have someone who's responsible solely for your customer relations. I've been preaching this because if you could have somebody whose only job is customer relations, then that takes that off your plate. And that person is responsible for making sure that these tasks are done at a certain time. That's the first thing. But if you can't afford that, I get it. A lot of us can't. The other thing is you've got to be organized. You've got to be organized with your time. You've got to be organized with your tasks. And I have clients, one of my, remember I said, this isn't my first time starting a business. So I used to be a professional organizer, and I helped people get rid of clutter. And one of the main jobs that I would always have is helping people organize their office space, right? And I found that a lot of business owners had very cluttered office spaces. They have papers everywhere. They say they know where everything is, but they really don't. And then now with that, when I was a professional organizer, it was like 15 years ago. So it was a little bit different than today's office space. Today's office space may not have as much paper. There's still a lot of paper, but there's a lot of email. So there's a lot of folks that have thousands of emails in their inbox. So when a customer emails you with a question or a complaint, it gets buried under all of that the clutter in your inbox. So you've got to be organized with your papers. You got to be organized with your email. And if you see that you're not going to be able to provide a service or a product at the time that you said you were, just be proactive. Let your customers know. There's stories of, and I won't say any names, but there's news stories out there of businesses who were overwhelmed by the number of orders and just sat quiet and didn't say a word to the customer, didn't tell the customer, hey, listen, we were overwhelmed, thankfully, with all of these orders. We're going to need a little bit more time. Say something. I was at Avis recently because I was doing some traveling and I got a rental car. And the line was very, very long. At budget rental car, there was nobody in line, but at Avis, the line was really long. And the lady, one of the ladies that was signing you in to get your car, every once in a while, like every 10 minutes or so, she would stand up and make an announcement. And she would say, ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate your business. We're so sorry that it's taking this long, but we're really short staffed. We've got our managers out there driving cars up for you because of the short staff. So if you could just have patience with us, please just understand we're working as fast as we can. That alleviated everybody. I mean, yeah, we're still frustrated that we're having to stand in this long line, but at least we understood.
Absolutely. It definitely makes you feel better. Just to even know what's going on makes you feel a little bit better. I mean, I absolutely agree with that. I've been in situations where at least you get the email like, we're working on it and, it's going to take us a little bit longer. And again, I think we all have room for growth, I think, in any sort of business. And so talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on that, because some people think that, in my business, or I don't, this doesn't matter as much in my type of business. Are there any sort of business owners that shouldn't care as much about having SOPs and things like that when it comes to client relations or customer service?
I mean, if you're a business that doesn't care whether or not you're getting new customers in and old customers are leaving out the back doors as soon as you're getting new ones in, then sure, but I think every single business, and this is something I think a lot of business owners don't think about when they're beginning to build their business. They know that getting customers in the door is important, right? Because otherwise, if you don't have any sales, if it's a service-based business or product-based business, it doesn't matter. If you don't have any sales, you're not making any money, right? So you got to get the customers in the door, but have you planned on how you're going to keep them coming back? How are you going to get the repeat business? How are you going to get referrals from them? There are ways that you can make your customers your biggest sales reps.
Absolutely.
Right. And I can teach you those ways. There are ways you can do it.
And it's so much. One thing as a marketer, I tell folks that, it's 5 times more expensive to get a new customer than it is to keep your existing customers coming back and spending more money, right? And so not only do we want them to come back and spend more money with us, we want them to become brand champions, brand advocates, and tell everybody about our business. Right. And so I love that you mentioned that you can give some ways that business owners can easily implement systems and processes that we don't like to talk about. Those are not the sexy words that we like, but those are the things that we need to keep those clients happy and turn them into those brand advocates and go get us those referrals.
That's right. And what I like about having the systems and procedures in place, see, the reason people think that sales and customer service is a headache is because they haven't planned for it. Right. So when a situation arises, then they got to think, oh, what do I do? How do I handle this situation? How do I handle this difficult customer? Or how do I try to get people to come back? And they think about it, but then something else comes up and it goes out of their brain. Right. So if you plan for it, then everybody gets a consistent experience. All of your customers are treated the same. And another statistic that I think a lot of people don't realize is when someone is unhappy with your business and complains to you about it, there's an average of 28 other people who were unhappy and just didn't say anything, right? So you got somebody who comes to you and complains, which is, good feedback because you need that feedback. But think about it. There's an average of 28 other people that just said, oh, forget them. I'm never going back, right? So you are providing great customer service, and you may be, but are you sure that you're providing the service that your clients, your customers need?
And not only that, we know that folks can't wait to take to social media these days to tell about an experience they had, especially with a Black-owned business, which then turns, I have seen these posts, and there's so many folks that are like, I'm not going. Well, I was thinking about going, but I'm not going now, just based off of one person's experience.
That's right.
So that is so important and key that we pay attention to these things and that we put the operating procedures and the things that we need in place up front, again, being proactive versus reactionary in these situations. So tell us a little bit about what we can expect from the free training.
So the training is titled 4 Critical Mistakes That You're Making That Could Be Blocking You from Reaching 7 Figures in Your Business, right? So I'm going to teach you how important it is to do these plans and what it means to plan, right? And how you can plan. And then also how to make your customers come back, how to make sure that they're happy. How do you make sure they're happy, right? Do you know they're happy for sure? And then how do you know? And then how to make sure that you've got some customer loyalty and how to reward those customers for the customer loyalty, right? Um, One of the things, like, people get on a bandwagon and people send emails and they'll say, one of the things that I'm not a fan of is when you go to a website and within 5 seconds a pop-up pops up and it says, join my email list for 10% off. Right. Well, in my head, I'm already thinking, well, tax is like 6%. So I'm only saving like 4%. Right. So that's not enough incentive for me to give you my email because I don't like a lot of emails. Remember, we're talking about. So I'm not a fan of that. But somebody did it. Somebody else saw it and everybody was like, "Ooh, that looks like a good way to show customers that we appreciate them. Let me give them 10% off." That's not enough for me. But did you ask me? Me, to keep me coming back? So there are things that you can do to find out all of that. And we'll talk about that during that training. But my goal is to help you see that there are 4 things that you're making mistakes. And if you make those mistakes, it's going to take you longer. You could probably get to 7 figures. It's just going to take you longer. And if you get these things under control, then you can get there faster.
I love it. I'm super excited about the training.
Me too.
Just love what you're doing. Love that you are prioritizing customer service and client experience in the Black community, because we know, we're not going to act like it's not a thing. Like, I'm a Black business champion and I love that we are, out here building businesses, but we're not going to act like this is not an issue in our community. And again, a lot of it goes back to the fact that we are doing it all ourselves, right? And so I try to give grace where we can, but it's time for us to step it up, take it to the next level. I'll be there because I know that we all have room for growth, including myself and the team at Black Business Boom. So I am excited to be there to catch these 4 mistakes, because I'm probably making 2 to 3 or all 4 myself. So super excited to be there. The link is in the caption. So make sure that you hit that link. It's a completely free training. Show up, get these tips, find out what you can be doing to be proactive about making sure that your business is positioned to go to 7 figures. And that's where we all want to get there, to that 6, 7, and 8 figure revenue annually. But we have to make sure that we have these things in order first. Thank you so much, Angela. It was wonderful learning from you today. I look forward to the training. I appreciate you so much for coming and speaking to my community about the things that we can be doing to elevate our revenue, and then inviting us all to the free training on the 11th.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate your time and effort as well. And, I look forward to seeing you on the training, and whoever else of your group that wants to join, I look forward to see them as well. So
absolutely. Thank you so much, Angela. Have a wonderful